Okay, so I think that's a really interesting concept. You're not susceptible to your human genetics. You're susceptible to whatever the truth of the all is. The all is life only, ongoing eternalness. Therefore, that's the truth about you. So, what I would recommend is this. I would recommend that you memorize this little sentence. You say it in the morning when you do your bed med, say it at night when you do your bed med, say it during the day whenever it occurs to you. And when you say it, just try to feel the truth of it. You know, I memorize this. I would recommend that you memorize this. Slide into stillness. Slide into being relaxed, and then just say to yourself, I authorize my body to release whatever's not necessary to its perfect functioning. I authorize my body to release whatever's not necessary to its perfect functioning, comma. And I withdraw any prior conscious or unconscious authorization to the contrary. It's so cool how it just wipes the slate clean. I authorize my body to release whatever's not necessary to its perfect functioning, and I withdraw any prior conscious or unconscious authorization to the contrary. Because most of the time we're just going with these unconscious authorizations about what we think is going to happen. My father died of a blood clot in his leg. Blood clots are genetic. I'm almost the age my father was when he died. I'll probably get a blood clot like Dad. I'm almost that age. Wah, 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 wah. My brother's got a blood clot. And it could be really believable. And I would get a lot of consensus from people on our planet. Yeah. No wonder you're suffering from that. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, take some Coumadin. But then don't eat lettuce. Or anything green.
And don't fall off a horse.
Don't fall off and don't get bruised. You can either buy the limited perspective, or you can be brave enough to start daring into this other perspective. I authorize my body to release whatever's not necessary to its perfect functioning, and I withdraw any prior conscious or unconscious authorization to the contrary. And let the healing begin to happen. And yet, okay, if you need the medicine, take the blinking medicine. If you need the medicine to stop the seizures, take the medicine. That's God helping you out also, at a certain level, at a level that works for you at the moment. Take the medicine in order to give you some relief and help you slide into the feeling of peace, and then to the best of your ability begin to authorize healing because it's your natural state. But be okay with doing what's helpful at the moment. Eventually you won't need to eat, but as long as you're hungry, eat. At least that's what I've heard. If you're consciously a radiant light body, you don't need food. You just need to keep being the place where love flows through so that love, which is the real nutrient, keeps flowing through you. Love's the nutrient, not granola. And so especially if you're in the hospital or you're sick, practice exuding love, extending love to things, because that'll start washing it through you.
If you're inquiring to dis-ease, it seems like if you dive into the middle of dis-ease and inquire, it seems like it becomes ease. It seems like that dis-ease is actually just an illusion.
That exactly.
It's never there anyway. It's just a.
Exactly. It's the evidence of a conflicted mind. It's not a thing there to attack you. That's a totally cool idea. The best protection, therefore, is to realize that you don't need protection. Because there's nothing other than the all. And you are the specific and unique self-expression of the all. Therefore, there's no enemy, there's no predator. Nah. Maybe. But everyone's got their own particular distorted view, and so your healing process is going to be different than somebody else's healing process, but the truth will be the same. God being you. At first it seemed egotistical to say that God was being you, but it's like Carrie said, the most egotistical thing is thinking that you're here somehow on your own. Realizing that you're the specific self-expression of the all is the least egotistical stance. And the most healing. And the highest energy, the most unconflicted. Therefore, it feels the best. I authorize my body to release whatever is not necessary to its perfect functioning. And I withdraw whatever, what is it? Any prior. And I withdraw any prior, conscious or unconscious, authorization to the contrary. It takes a while to memorize it, or it took me a while to memorize it. But memorize it. It's good for your brain. And do the bed meds. I'm really voting for that. I'm not sure if I've emphasized it as much as I want to or think needs to be. But do the bed meds. Especially first thing in the morning is the one that's the killer one for me. This week, I set my alarm for 7:30 so I wake up. But I usually wake up I've been waking up throughout the night, the last few nights. But I actually get up at about 7. Sit up in bed, lean back, and just let it feel like you almost just go back to sleep. But you won't go back to sleep. You'll just sort of wake up slowly. You'll start feeling the subtle joy of conscious being, the ease of being. You'll be figuring things out. And if you fall asleep, so what? The alarm will go off at 7:30. And spending 30 minutes like that is just so before it's meditate for 30 minutes. But if you just let it feel like you're almost going back to sleep and you're slumped in bed, it's like, it's blissful in a subtle joy sort of way. And then the alarm goes off and then you get up. If you gotta get up. My usual lifestyle is I don't have to get up until whatever. And that way you're starting the day with consciously sliding into the feeling tone of peace. And again, it's that thing, the more familiar you get with the feeling tone of peace, then when you start veering away from it into a feeling tone that used to be normal, it's going to start feeling more uncomfortable than it used to feel, which will just remind you to like get centered once again. Infinity, the not finite context. The feeling tone of infinity is unconflicted being because there's nothing other than infinity to be in conflict with. The feeling tone of infinity is the ease of conscious being. I'm summarizing. Dis-ease is the evidence of a conflicted perspective. Don't let that bum you out. Let it just catch your attention. Oh, therefore, slide into the feeling of peace as fast as you can. Desire healing. Watch all the little sentences that go through your mind that argue about it, that decree something else, that justify a crummy experience. And begin to justify a truly awesome experience by realizing that your real DNA is God. And wow, God is love, and therefore so are you. God is love, and therefore so am I. God is love, and therefore that's the truest thing, whether you're experiencing it very much yet or not. And that'll be healing. And remember, the word healing means revealing. And so the healing isn't changing something, a diseased state, into an improved state. Sort of what Chris was making reference to. But it begins to reveal the truth of what's been there all along. So you're not battling disease, you're letting the truth be revealed. And what was a disease will get healed. Let's prove it. Nah, that's too hard. It's not hard. Just stop talking yourself out of it. What is the truth here really? What is the truth here really? Because we're authorizing why I'm not going to heal. We're authorizing why I'm stuck with the crummy circumstance. Our limited perspective is decreeing crummyhood. And so it's just sort of like saying, oh,
I delete that.
I delete that, yeah.
And I'm taking responsibility for my experience.
Yeah. And it's mostly, that's all it is, like I choose to delete that, and then come what may. And that you're really not responsible for. And that's why the only thing you're truly susceptible to is the all, which luckily is lovely. Say what?
It is your mind creating your reality. If you think you're going to get a blood clot in your leg,
Yes.
that's your mind creating your reality. So if you can stop your mind from creating those realities,
Then you'll start having a fourth dimensional experience as being your reality, yeah. I always hesitate at creating your reality, because you're not actually creating your reality, but you're writing the script. You had nothing to do with your reality, like the all is being you. And so God created your reality, and you can either accept the truth or start decreeing that something else is true, and therefore start having a distorted experience which will feel like dissonance. And you're creating that, so to speak, yeah.
So it's like God created your reality, but you created your perception.
Yeah,
Your perception
right.
you can change anytime and fall back into the reality.
Right,
But what you're out there thinking you see is not, you think it's your reality, but it's your perception.
right,
That's the one you can shift.
right. And just like to fine tune the words, I would vote instead of saying, God create, what was you saying?
God created your reality, you create your perception.
Yeah, right.
You
So,
can shift your perception.
right, so
back into
I would change it slightly, total agreement, but change the word slightly. God created your reality and you make your perception. So somehow make is sort of, it's less awesome than create. So you make your perception, which gives you a distorted experience. But it's cool to be getting clearer about this. And like to talk about it and not agree with it and maybe agree with it and still take the medicine and do your life. But like when someone sneezes on the plane, don't just immediately think,
oh God, it.
asshole. Just like watch how you're justifying why you're going to get sick. Start justifying, oh wow, I'm invulnerable to someone's sneeze. I can't be affected by that, not really. And then you can walk through the plane and not be afraid. And you can be on the plane and help protect everybody else, actually. Because if you're exuding the fact that you're safe, people will start feeling safer and they won't know why. And maybe people will sneeze less. Hopefully, huh? Yeah.
I think my real DNA is DOD is so simple, a simple mantra, and if, that sneeze or whatever, that should be the first thing that comes.
Exactly.
And I've used it, and it's really been powerful and helpful.
I think it's so cool, and it just sticks.
It's like a good bumper sticker.
It's a good bumper sticker. And it just seems true. And it's like nice to like getting, oh, that's true. And therefore that means, and so you find yourself retranslating all your previous experiences. It covers everything. My real DNA is God. What you're susceptible to really is whatever the true nature of God is. You'll have insight into the fact that God is love, that the infinite is a loving presence, and then you'll doubt it because, man, it sure doesn't look like it. What about this? What about this? Yeah, well, all of that stuff is happening because everybody involved was coming from a limited perspective, acting out their current level of ignorance. doing the best they could. But ignorance can be cured. And that's what we're doing here. It's like we're helping to cure ignorance.
What about the notion that, someone might say that my cancer is GOD?
Is what?
Is GOD. My cancer is in my DNA, and that's GOD. I mean, that's just the way it is. And
Well,
my limited understanding causes me to suffer from that, or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what most people think.
Mhm.
And it's easy to,
Do they?
yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure they would put it that way.
Maybe not, but they would think that they're susceptible to
Right.
the cancer.
But
And if you think that, that'll weaken you. And then you'll get sick, and then you'll go, oh yeah, boy, that really is true.
I'm not sure I'm asking the question.
I hear what you're saying because I wondered the same.
I do too.
Yeah.
That the cancer can also be this,
A
the
manifestation.
infinite and
of the
specific form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Thy will be done.
yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's the infinite only, then how could the cancer be something other than? Is that
Right,
what you're
right,
saying?
right,
Yeah,
right.
something like that.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
thank
right.
you very much.
Like it's not a mistake.
Right, right.
And it's cool. I mean, it's okay. That notion that my job is to be okay with what's real, and that's real, to recognize the real. What if that's real and I'm meant to recognize it? And the fact that I'm fighting it and having a problem with it, that's my misperception.
Mhm.
Okay, go with that.
Yeah.
But I think you'll find that if you are curious about what the truth of the cancer is,
Yeah.
it will stop being a dissonant factor in your experience, and it as cancer will go away.
There's certainly a lot of evidence of that tendency, that your mind actually has some impact on the experience of your body.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think people are waking up to, it's not only that your mind has some impact, it's got like total impact. That your body is the visibility and tangibility of your mind state.
Right. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You're not saying don't take medicine.
No.
No. Do whatever helps you slide into the feeling of peace. And then you may not need the medicine. You may forget to take the medicine and everything will be cool. But as long as it's helpful, I would say, take what's helpful.
But you're saying that two notions aren't irreconcilable, that the CANCER is GOD, but we tend to experience cancer.
I wouldn't say that
Yeah.
exactly. I would say that CANCER is a distorted perception of GOD, and therefore it looks like CANCER. But what's really there is GOD. It could only be there because the all is being there. But the all is not in conflict with itself. That's why the starting point is the feeling tone of infinity is unconflicted being. Otherwise it would just like obliterate itself really fast. So the feeling tone of unconflicted being, and sort of have insight into that every once in a while. Therefore, the truest thing about me is unconflicted being, and therefore cancer dissonance could not survive very long. And therefore I give permission for it to like disappear out of my experience.
So it's almost like on a cellular level, there's no enemy.
Exactly.
So how can the cells
That's
have enemy cells?
That's the point, yeah. Right, that's the point. And mind is consciousness, which is the all. And if you're conscious, then you are that consciousness. And so the solution is to start identifying yourself as that.
Right.
And therefore, you're susceptible to unconflicted being as being your inevitable conscious experience, which equals health, equals wealth, equals wisdom, equals all the good stuff.
So, Eric, is suffering the symptom of a misperception then?
Yeah. It's feedback. That's why I was saying life isn't suffering, but life as we live it is suffering.
And the solution to that misperception is the various practices you talked about.
Yeah.
You ask, what's really going on here?
Yeah, what's
Right.
really
You clear your
going on?
mind, you stop
That
with
was
your
the phrase.
habitual explanations.
Yeah.
and
Right, right,
What's
rational
really going on?
explanations.
What's
Say,
the
well,
truth?
what's really happening?
right,
Yeah.
And you observe and you listen,
right.
and insight comes and the suffering maybe recedes.
Yeah,
That works.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe part of the definition of disease has to do with suffering, because one could have cancer and be not suffering at all, and if they're not suffering, is it disease? Or is it ease?
Well, there is this David Thoreau said, it's this quote that I was really struck by. Somebody said, wow, dude, are you, because he had tuberculosis, I guess? What do they call it? Consumption. He died of consumption, which is, in those days especially, it was a really hard disease to die of. And someone said, how you doing, man? And he was like, it's cool, there is as much peace in perfect disease as there is in perfect health, or something to that effect. I was really struck by that. I mean, I don't know exactly,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I was like, yeah, I agree. It was more like, that's a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
notion.
It just seems like we're at a new place, though, with all of this. Like, it's totally cool to be cool with it and to die gracefully. Ramana Maharshi did a similar thing. But it just seems like we're so at the place where now it's not about putting up with disease in a peaceful way, but of actually obliterating, through the realization of what's really true, anything that's actually dissonance causing. Like, don't justify why it's cool to do that. Temporarily. Maybe it's the coolest thing.
I'm down with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really down.
It's a leap.
It's a leap. It's a leap. But if you've had like glimmers along the way that actually you're a fourth dimensional conscious being with a radiant light body, and you experience it every once in a while and you practice seeing it more and more, then maybe things will start playing out differently.
Well, it's like it's like finding a way to be at peace with the way things seem to be. That's skillful behavior on some level.
Yeah,
But then it doesn't preclude the notion that, well, maybe things aren't the way they seem to be. Let me be open to that, because maybe it's even cooler than just being at peace with this.
that's exactly what I was, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, right, yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be great.
Yeah, right,
And
yeah.
if you're saying it, I'm saying okay.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're saying it, okay.
Yeah.
If you're saying it,
I'll
okay.
entertain it.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
Makes me
yeah,
feel better.
yeah,
Possibility. Because to be honest, I'm not at peace with the way things are. I'm trying,
right,
but I'm not.
right,
So the idea that maybe they're not like that, as long as it doesn't, as long as it's not taken in with, as long as it's not a rejection of the way things really are, as long as
Right.
it's an inquiry,
right,
that's
right,
wonderful.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. Nah,
Or yeah.
maybe.
like a glimmer of hope. It keeps bubbling up,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.